Today on Dr. Phil. Is this uncle too affectionate?
Grace, I love you with all my heart. You're one of my best friends in the world.
With his 16-year-old niece?
What bothers you about the letter?
It sounds like a love letter.
You have a 38-year-old man in your daughter's bedroom with the door closed on a regular basis.
I know it's inappropriate.
Now he faces his accusers.
It makes my mind go to a place where I don't want it to go.
You put whipped cream on your neck, and Grace says you asked her not once but twice to lick it off.
I don't remember doing that.
The creep meter is pegging over here. Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I'll try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. I am sure that most women would love to get a letter like this from their husbands. I love you with all of my heart. The way I love you is unique, and I don't know how to explain it. You have also made me feel very special. That was just an excerpt of a letter that 38-year-old Kevin wrote, but it was not to his wife. He actually wrote that to his 16-year-old niece, Grace. Now, her mother discovered the letter when she decided to do a little snooping after finding an empty bottle of whipped cream hidden in her daughter's bedroom. Now, her daughter later told her mother that her uncle bought the whipped cream, put it on his neck, and asked her to lick it off. Now, despite these red flags, Bridget says she is still not 100% sure that her brother-in-law is having an inappropriate relationship with her daughter, who is 22 years younger than Uncle Kevin.
My daughter Grace is 16. My brother-in-law Kevin became close to Grace after her father died.
When my dad died, I had a tough time in school. I got held back 2 grades and I started getting bullied. My Uncle Kevin started hanging out with me to cheer me up. Pretty soon, he was coming over every day.
His car would be in my driveway when he should have been at work. They spent a lot of time in Grace's room with the door closed.
I lay like this and Kevin lays right here like this. Kevin is not just my uncle, he's also a very good friend.
One day I came home and the washer setting was off. She said she washed her sheets because they were sweaty. And then she said Kevin stopped by. We fought, and then I told her that Kevin could not come over unless I knew about it. But after that, he came over again. I went into her room and found a hidden bottle of whipped cream behind her stack of DVDs. I thought to myself, Kevin has been here, washed sheets, now whipped cream. I started to snoop and found a letter from Kevin to Grace. When I read it, I was physically ill.
I thought the letter Kevin wrote was completely harmless.
It spoke of their relationship. She's getting older now, and she might even get a boyfriend. I won't be happy about it.
You will be dating, you'll eventually find a guy. I'd be lying if there was part of me that doesn't like it.
I felt that something inappropriate had happened. So I grilled her about the whipped cream, and Grace told me that Kevin had put the whipped cream on his neck and asked her to lick it off.
I know what's right and wrong, so I didn't do it. He asked me again and I said no.
Even though Kevin told me that he did say those things about the whipped cream on his neck, he told his wife that he did not. Once I found out that Kevin lied about the whipped cream, I realized that he was capable of lying about anything. I just want to know the truth. Is my brother-in-law a monster?
Are you concerned?
I have some concerns just because I have one side of me that thinks that this is an innocent friendship. And then I have my sister, my other sister that's not married to Kevin, who thinks this is way wrong.
Way wrong.
So I'm being pulled both ways.
Okay. And you've talked to Grace about it, and you've said that there's nothing inappropriate going on here, right?
I don't feel there's anything inappropriate going on. There's a few things that I've seen, like the whipped cream thing did concern me a little bit. But other than that, I think him and I have nothing but a friendship.
And one that you value.
Yes.
And this kind of started after your dad passed. I'm very sorry for your loss,
Thank you.
by the way. That's never easy, and certainly not easy when you're 14 and leaves a terrible void. So I am sorry for your loss. And,
Thank you.
And Kevin was a help and is a help during that time, kind of filling a void in there. So some good things in that regard,
Yes.
right? And you've appreciated that.
Yes.
So that's a good thing. But you say that your first red flag was Kevin going by your house when you weren't there. And you say that when he comes over, they go in her room and close the door and watch TV. And now every story has two sides to it. And on the flip side of that doesn't sound good when you just say it, right? On the other side, there's a little brother, and he comes crashing in all the time. And so they close the door to keep the munchkin out from blasting in and all. But nonetheless, you do have a 38-year-old man in your daughter's bedroom with the door closed on a regular basis.
Right.
Is that a good idea?
If it was anybody else besides Kevin, it would be a big deal. But to me, I've seen them together, he's like a big kid. To me, he's her friend. And so when I find these things, I'm conflicted because when I talk to Kevin or my sister who's married to him, they bring me back down. And then when I talk to my sister Tammy, she just brings everything way back up. And then I ask Grace, and then she tells me there's nothing inappropriate going on. And I ask her a lot. And so my stomach is just in knots. I don't know what to believe.
Just from a commonsensical standpoint, what is it that bothers you about this?
I just feel like, what if some of the things that are going through my head are true? And it's just something that my mind cannot handle.
And what is it that's going through your head?
Well, when I found the whipped cream and then I found the letter, I was physically sick.
What bothered you about the letter?
It sounds like a love letter. It sounds like it goes right to the edge of being inappropriate without saying too much.
What do you think about the letter?
I thought that the letter was, like I said, he wrote it after my father died, and I feel like he was trying to boost my confidence and make me feel better about myself. And there was a part where he said that about the guys, how he doesn't like when I date guys or talk to guys. That has always concerned me because, like, I understand if my father was here, he would be concerned about the guys that I talk to or associate with, but like my mom said, that seemed a little over the edge. And other than that, I thought it was a nice letter that he wrote me to make me feel better about myself.
Coming up, a video from Uncle Kevin that could be another red flag.
Is the uncle talking about his niece? Does that sound normative to you?
No. It sounds awkward.
And later,
Maybe you should zip it then. Not say
I
this
know
is
what I
what you're
see,
saying.
Kevin.
And he didn't just bring whipped cream over alone. They were making sundaes.
Different people have different versions and remember things differently.
There aren't versions of the truth.
My Uncle Kevin does get upset if he thinks our relationship is being threatened. When I talk to Kevin about boys, he does get mad, so I don't bring it up. Another time when I told him we shouldn't see each other very much, he got very angry. I think Kevin is very sensitive about our relationship, but Kevin doesn't treat me inappropriately at all.
You know, there's something called optimism bias. And that is where we just don't want to believe something. And so we're just so optimistic about it, we just don't want to believe it. so we just kind of have a blind spot to it.
You just described me, yes.
And, you know, I've talked about this concept of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I wrote a book called Life Code, and one of the things we talk about is benefit of the doubt. That you give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And I was raised that way. You give people the benefit of the doubt. I think that's insane. I think it's insane to give people the benefit of the doubt. And people go, oh, Dr. Phil, you're being pessimistic. No, I'm not. I don't think you should prejudge people either. I think you should just gather data and don't judge it one way or another. Just gather data and then look at what you have, what you compile, and see if something is more likely than not. And when we look at the letter that was written, let's look at the letter that was written. There's a 38-year-old man writing to his 16-year-old niece. I love you with all of my heart. Okay. I raised 2 boys. I love them with all of my heart. I don't write them letters and say, I love you with all of my heart. But the way I love you is unique, and I don't even know how to explain it. What is unique about an uncle loving their niece? That you don't even know how to explain it? This is not a novel concept. You will be dating, will eventually find a guy. I'd be lying if I said there wouldn't be a part of me that doesn't like it though, LOL. You have also made me feel very special. Wanting to be around me, telling me I look nice, that I make you smile. Hearts on your phone. I don't care that you are only 16. You are one of my best friends in the world. Hearts on your phone. Telling me I look nice. Really?
Well, if you knew Kevin like I know him, that's why I had to take the letter and white the names out and let people who have no irons in the fire to figure out if it was inappropriate to them, or am I overreacting, or I guess my mind does not want to accept that something bad can happen, and that's how I do a lot of things.
That's how bad things happen. I always ask you guys to make a little video snippet for me.
Okay.
Right? And you did, and you did, everybody did, because I like to kind of take a look at folks and hear what they have to say. And Kevin made a video, and in it he's anguishing about what to do about this.
Yes, he has to me.
And he's talking in there about whether he should take a step back from this relationship. Let's take a look at what he said to me as he made this video sitting in his car.
Maybe it is best if I would just step away and you know, stop spending time with Grace. And you know, I don't know, it's tough. It's tough to do. I mean, you know, I care a lot about her. It's hard just to say, oh, I'm not gonna see you or come around too much anymore. I mean, it's a terribly difficult thing to do, but I really don't know. So I'm just kind of, like I said, gonna go what my wife tells me and whatever she thinks.
Is this uncle talking about his niece? It's just going to be terribly difficult to do. It's going to be tough. I don't know. I'll just do whatever my wife tells me to do. Does that sound normative to you?
No.
How does it sound to you?
It sounds awkward.
Well, let's take a break. We're going to meet Bridget's older sister, Tammy, who says Kevin has a history of inappropriate behavior. We're going to find out what makes her believe that he's actually molesting her 16-year-old niece. We'll be right back.
I recently found out that Kevin got a new work phone and gave Grace his old phone so that they could have private conversations. Everything Kevin does with Grace is a red flag. In my opinion, Kevin is a child molester.
And later, why Uncle Kevin and his wife threatened to leave.
They're telling me they're threatening that they're going to go home.
But I think we're going to find the bottom here, and if you want to just leave, and we can work this out another way. Bridget is worried her brother-in-law Kevin may be getting a little too close with her teenage daughter Grace. Now, her sister Tammy couldn't agree more. Tammy says Kevin is too touchy-feely with Grace, rubbing her feet, wanting to give her a massage or a back rub. And that's not the only time she says Kevin has crossed the line.
In my opinion, Kevin is a child molester. Carrie did tell me that Kevin did have an affair with a girl that she went to high school with. Carrie did put a stop to that affair, and she did stay married to Kevin. Carrie seems to just stand by while her husband lies and cheats on her. I recently found out that Kevin got a new work phone and gave Grace his old phone so that they could have private conversations. Kevin does have his text messages set up to be automatically deleted. Everything Kevin does with Grace is a red flag. Kevin's behavior is suspicious. I regret not calling the cops on Kevin a long time ago.
You're very concerned.
I have been very concerned. Everything about this is so inappropriate. And they keep a lot of information from me.
Why is that?
Because I'm very outspoken about it. I've had a conversation with Bridget, why she continues to let Grace go with Kevin and Carrie. And then I've also had a discussion with Carrie why she hasn't put a stop to Kevin seeing Grace. Going over to her house in appropriate times when Bridget's at work.
Now, the other sister we're talking about here, Carrie, is Kevin's wife.
That's correct.
And so that's the other sister here.
Yes.
And can I need to just call time out here and make something very, very clear. I don't know what's going on here. I'm committed to finding out, but one thing I know for absolute drop dead certain is you've done nothing wrong. I know that for sure. You're a child in this situation, and you don't feel like a child because you're 16, and I remember when I was 16, I didn't know everything, but pretty much everything. And I considered myself pretty much the master of the universe and all, but you are a child in many ways, and I don't mean that in a condescending way at all, but you certainly have done nothing wrong here, no matter what this turns out to be. So please let me make that clear 100% here. If things have gotten out of hand here, if things have crossed the line, if things have gotten inappropriate, you're a victim here, not a perpetrator, and I want to be very, very clear about that. You say there are times that Carrie thinks her husband Kevin's at work when he's overseeing her.
Right.
That doesn't seem right. Why is she not reacting to this situation?
Well, I don't know why she's not reacting to it. I mean, there's been several other cases, you know, of infidelity, I guess you would call it, that she seems to forgive him. I'm not sure why.
Okay, and that's between the two of them, and
right.
I get that, but we're talking here about a child.
Right.
You need to tell me what's going on in your head right now.
I want to believe that nothing's happened because I don't think I can handle anything else.
You're the mother. You should protect Grace.
I do protect
Regardless.
Grace. I do protect Grace.
Wow.
If she's telling me there's nothing going on, and I haven't found anything that says, other than the letter, then he said that he didn't say that,
Okay, he didn't say what?
that he put it on his neck and asked her to lick it off.
But he told you he did.
Yes.
Then he
and then he took it back.
September.
So, and Grace said she didn't let him do that, and she didn't tell me that until we were already coming to the show. When I found the whipped cream, I got a whole different story.
That would have been enough evidence for me to go to the police, which I asked you to do.
What are you going to say to the police? I found a can of whipped cream? What can I say to the police? I found a can of whipped cream, and I found this letter.
That would have been a start.
There's nothing there that says anything has happened.
Okay, listen.
I know it's inappropriate, and
Okay,
I
let's
said
forget
at
about-
very least he's grooming her.
We're talking about the whipped cream. She said he sprayed it on his neck and asked me to lick it off.
And I just found that out before we came to the show.
Okay, but what's your conclusion? And later,
Well, I'm not comfortable with people digging things up.
you guys have been making demands and changing the story all within 30 seconds ago. I mean,
we
people
didn't-
who have nothing to hide nothing.
The letter that Kevin wrote to Grace is harmless. It may not have been worded appropriately, but that's just how Kevin writes. The worst thing about Kevin is that he has terrible judgment when it comes to joking. I knew the whipped cream joke was the worst of the inappropriate jokes that have ever been told, but I know that's all it was. Even when his judgment is poor, his heart is always pure.
Okay, let's forget about television. Let's forget about police. Let's forget about all of that. I'm a parent, you're a parent, okay? And let's forget about Dr. Phil. This is Phil and Bridget, just talk for a minute, okay? I just think common sense isn't common enough anymore. What are you thinking? Tell me what you're thinking.
I feel like that Kevin could not do something like that to me or Grace. In my head, that's how I feel. I've been seeing a lot of red flags that cause me to question things.
Okay, based on what you know to be a fact, what are you concluding?
I'm concluding it's inappropriate and that possibly he has been grooming her and for something to happen.
Okay, do you think victims of muggings know they're about to get mugged? Seriously, people that are walking down the street that all of a sudden, bam, get hit in the back of the head and they take their watch and their purse and their rings and their money. Do you think they know that's getting ready to happen?
No, but sexual abuse
Do
is
you think
completely
rape
different.
victims think they're getting ready to get raped?
Nope.
Do
But
you
sexual
think
abuse
if you
is
went
different.
out and found all of the molestation victims in the world, do you think that the victims know they're being groomed and know they're being molested before they're getting molested?
No.
Do you think they know that?
No, I think somebody on the outside needs to see that. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Okay, and if they see that, then what do you think should happen? What
I said I don't
disrupt-
want him there when I'm not home.
This is what Grace said in her pre-interview about the whipped cream, because we ask a lot of questions, and Grace is very honest with us. We're talking about the whipped cream. She said, he took it from me, and I thought he was going to eat it. He sprayed it on his neck and asked me to lick it off. I said, that's weird. I know what's right and wrong. I'm not doing it. So he leaned into me and asked me to do it again. I said no. Then he stood up and didn't say anything. He just wiped it off his neck and his face immediately got red. You could tell he knew what he had done was wrong, and he was either embarrassed or he just knew how wrong it was. Everybody knows he's overly affectionate and caring. He would always tell me I'm beautiful and always wanted to hug me and stuff. But only the whipped cream thing made me think, yeah, that's weird.
And I just found that out before we came to the show.
Okay, but now that you know it, what's your conclusion?
She hasn't seen Kevin. We haven't had any contact with him other than coming to the show.
Okay, well, you know what? He's here. So what is the deal with that can of whipped cream? and everything else. We're going to meet Kevin and find out why he says that incident was completely misconstrued. He says she is right to say that. I just can't imagine that Kevin would be inappropriate in any way. She says she just can't wrap her head around that. You'd have to know Kevin to understand. Well, he wants to explain. He's going to get that chance after the break.
Me coming around helping Grace, the school had a snowball effect to where we have formed this close relationship, this special bond that we have. It's not anything that I've set out to do. It's kind of the path that we went down. Grace, I know you're only 16, but I love you with all my heart.
Bridget is concerned that her 38-year-old brother-in-law, Kevin, might be having an inappropriate relationship with her 16-year-old daughter, Grace. But Kevin says things are just simply not what they seem. He says he is only being a buddy to his niece who needs a friend, particularly right after the death of her father. Take a look.
After Grace's father died, she became very depressed. She just really wouldn't get out of bed. I was there as a shoulder to cry on. I would occasionally stop by after work to help her with her online classes. Me coming around helping her with school had a snowball effect to where we have formed this close relationship, this special bond that we have. It's not anything that I've set out to do. It's kind of the path that we went down. One time, Grace asked me to bring over a bottle of whipped cream. When I brought the whipped cream over, I made a bad joke, put the whipped cream on my neck. She maybe laughed a little bit, but she's like, that's weird. I was embarrassed. It was a bad joke. I wiped it off really quick. That was the last that we even talked about it. Bridget contacted my wife about that incident, kind of trying to, I feel like, go overboard a little bit, you know, make it look like something terrible would happen. My wife talked to me about it. She really, truly didn't believe anything inappropriate had happened. When the rumors first started flying, I wrote a heartfelt letter to Grace. Grace, I've gotten to know you so well over the last 3 months or so. I love you with all my heart. The way I love you is unique, and I don't know how to explain it, but I think you understand, and I think it's the same for you. I know you're only 16, but you're one of my best friends in the world. I will always, always be there for you. Love, Kevin. There's absolutely nothing inappropriate with my relationship with Grace.
Thank you for being here. We were going to add you, and then backstage you said you were refusing to come out unless you came with your wife?
Yeah.
Why
up
is
to this
that?
point, I felt like I knew where everybody was coming from, but I heard some things that were just not true from Tammy. So I'm not comfortable with people digging things up, and I think the surprises caught me off guard.
Well, we've wanted your wife to be part of this to begin with, and your wife said, no, do not want to be part of the show. Then she said, well, actually, I'll sit in the audience, but I don't want to talk. Then she said, no, I'll sit in the audience, but I'll talk, but only to Dr. Phil. Then she said, okay, now I'll actually come and be. So you've been.
Right. I would like to avoid this whole
process. We've wanted you to be here from the beginning.
Right.
Because I have a lot of questions I want to ask you, but you guys have been making demands and changing them, the story all within 30 seconds ago. I mean, people who have nothing to hide nothing, so I can't imagine why you would be going through all of these things. Because you don't know what I think. You might be pleasantly surprised to know what I think. And I'm curious, did you guys all have a conference call yesterday where you worked out the story you were going to tell and how everybody was going to tell the same story once you got here on the phone, except for Tammy on Saturday night? And what do you know about the call, Tammy?
I looked at Bridget and I said, what is it? What's going on? She's like, something must have happened with Carrie and Kevin because they're telling me they're threatening that they're going to go home. And I said, well, what happened? Well, then Grace said, well, she had talked to Kevin about a few of the questions that were asked.
It's not true.
Well, then why did Grace lie?
I haven't spoke to Grace. These two spoke.
Well,
Carrie and Grace.
You know what? I think we're going to find the bottom here, and I think you want to find the bottom here because do you know what a mandated reporter is?
Yes.
Yes.
And I am one.
So am I, and apparently y'all don't take this seriously, but I do. You want to be part of this conversation, and if you want to just leave and we can work this out another way. but I'm not comfortable with everything that's flying around here, and it needs some clarification. Because I'm real uncomfortable with this, and I have one priority here, and that's the safety of this child. And I don't get the urgency on anybody's part about the safety of this child other than Tammy.
The phone call consisted of us discussing that some of us felt uncomfortable about the situation and how it might go. With Kevin saying that he was going to call the whole thing off, me and my sister Carrie were saying, let's go get the help that we need, and we were all in agreement that that's what we needed to do.
Dr. Phil, can I say something? I noticed this started about almost a year ago, October, and I brought it to her attention that I felt it was inappropriate for Kevin to take Grace to his private office, which I found that out.
To help her with her schoolwork because
Supposedly.
no one else has offered or knew how.
Well, why not?
If you were so concerned, why didn't you come up and spend time with Grace? How much time have you spent with Grace since Jason passed away?
Probably 0.
Thank you.
There you go. How can you say? How much time have you spent with Kevin?
But
how much time have you spent with Kevin spending time with Grace? 0. So how can you?
And it's
all
okay.
your information is based on gossip.
How is it okay for Kevin and Grace to be in her bedroom with the door shut, you not knowing about it, and when you found out about it, no, when she found out about
I go
it, you
places
told
all
him
the
to
time,
get
and I
his,
don't
you know
check in
what
with Kevin.
How is any of this appropriate?
So you lied to your wife.
Where am I lying? I don't remember doing that.
Have you had any concerns about the relationship between the two of them?
The only concern that I have is that the time he spends with her takes away from me. And that's purely selfish. And that's the only problem I have.
And that's the day that
Were you
she
concerned
kicked
at
the
all
door down.
about the whipped cream incident?
I feel like that was totally inappropriate, but if you knew Kevin the way that we all know Kevin, it is a very bad
I agree.
joke. It was very bad. It looks very bad. The letter looks very bad. It sounds very bad. I know that, but I know him. And
But
Grace,
you were concerned about the whipped cream thing because
yeah, that was a really bad idea.
you guys text back and forth about it. You said, is what Grace said true? That only requires a simple yes or no. Kevin, you said it was just a dumb joke because I told her bringing whipped cream could seem weird and we had laughed about it. And Carrie, you said, so then you put whipped cream on your neck and told her to lick it off? Kevin, no, I put it on my neck and wiped it off real quick. Carrie, you said, so you put whipped cream on your neck. Kevin, yes, and immediately wiped it off. I knew it was a bad joke. So you lied to your wife.
Where am I lying?
Where you said, I put it on there and wiped it off immediately, because Grace says you asked her not once but twice to lick it off.
Okay. I don't remember doing that. I'm not calling Grace a liar if she said that happened. But will you
then that
ask
means
her?
you're lying to
Will
your
you
wife.
ask her if I did wipe it off really quickly? I mean, can you ask her that?
Well, I'm
And
sure you did after you asked her to lick it off twice.
I don't remember saying that.
You then stood up, turned around, got really red-faced, and then wiped it off.
Well, as soon as I did it, I knew it was a bad joke. I wiped off, and I knew I was uncomfortable that I did that.
You forget the part about asking her twice to lick it off and being rejected twice, and then you wiped it off quickly because you were embarrassed. That's what Grace said. I don't have to ask her. I have it on.
Okay.
I have it recorded.
Okay.
That's what she said.
Okay. That was very inappropriate. That was wrong
Well,
of me to do
did
so.
that happen or did that not happen?
I do not remember saying the words "lick it off." I remember putting it on my neck, going like that. She said, I thought she kind of said, "That's weird." I said, just more like that, and that was
So
the
you
end
were
of
putting
it.
it on there and leaning in.
I
like
did
that.
lean in, yes, and I knew it was wrong. And
Why'd you do that?
It was just a bad joke, a mistake, Dr. Phil.
And he didn't just bring whipped cream over alone.
Mm-hmm.
They were making sundaes.
Okay. Well, then There was another version you told about that in your pre-interview. You said Grace wanted me to bring a bottle of whipped cream to the house because she wanted me to make sundaes. I told her that was kind of odd and asked her why she wanted me to bring the whipped cream. I was half-assed joking with her when I told her this could look bad. I didn't want to get it for her, but I'm a goofball and don't think things through entirely. I brought it over there and left right after. For some odd reason, she hid the bottle of whipped cream in her room after it was empty. Her mom found it and asked Grace about it, and she thought I brought it over. But we didn't know why she hid the bottle. Maybe she ate it all and didn't want anybody to know. So you said you brought it over and then just left right away. So you had that version in your pre-interview, then the version you just said where I don't remember asking her to lick it off twice. Then you said, well, I do remember leaning in, and then there's Grace's version. So there's like 4 versions. 3 of them are yours and 1 of them's hers.
Right.
Can I add another version?
Different people have different versions and remember things different. I don't think anyone here is sitting here accusing anybody of being a liar. I'm not. I'm not accusing Grace of being a liar.
There aren't versions of the truth.
There are, true.
There aren't versions of the truth.
And Dr. Phil, everything here is still, on this part, is true.
You have another version?
Just because I was told first that they were making sundaes. And then I was told the other day when I found out that there were no sundaes.
Yeah, there were none, right?
Basically, the Sunday situation didn't even cross our mind. We didn't even think of it when he got there with it. So we were sitting on my bed eating it, squirting it into our mouths like people do with it, not in each other's mouths. We were squirting it in our own mouths.
I don't believe I had any, did I?
Yeah, you had some, yeah. But anyways, it was basically gone by the time he had left. And like he said, he thought that people would think that it was weird that there was a bottle of whipped cream. So I had hid it because I know how my family is, and I know that they like to make assumptions and lie about things.
But if you would have told me Kevin was coming over to make sundaes, then when I found the whipped cream bottle, I wouldn't have had a concern. When you keep it a secret from me that these things are going on, and then I find it, it makes my mind go to a place where I don't want it to go.
I believe
and I understand that now.
I know how to move this thing along, so I think we can get to a productive place. And I would like to talk just you and I.
Okay.
I'd like to just ask all of y'all to excuse us at the break here so Kevin and I can just talk one-on-one. We'll be right back. We have run out of time, but I still have a lot to say to this family. We talked to him briefly today, but tomorrow I'm going to talk one-on-one with Uncle Kevin and give him a chance to tell his side of the story.
Tomorrow on Dr. Phil, the drama continues.
You gave her this bear, this Valentine's card, and you gave your wife a mug.
His family's suspicions.
Sometimes she sleeps in your bedroom, on a mattress, on the floor, and your wife's in another room.
I agree there's things that look bad.
But what else is coming out?
Let's talk about what needs to happen, okay?
I thought maybe we could talk about me being a horrible parent some more.
That has Mom challenging Dr. Phil.
You walk in these shoes, you'll know what it's like.
Well, lady, when you walk in these shoes, you'll see bull when you see it.
That's tomorrow.
Plus, we'll also talk to Grace's older sister, who feels their uncle puts her sister before his own wife. We are just getting started. I want to thank all of my guests today. Log on to drphil.com and share your thoughts on our message boards. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter using hashtag Dr. Phil. We'll see you tomorrow.